Close your eyes for a moment. Let yourself drift backward through time. Not years, not decades, not even centuries. 40,000 years. That's 2,000 generations of humans, breathing the same air you're breathing now, looking at the same moon, feeling the same pull of sleep when darkness falls. Picture the moment before you wake, that thin membrane between dreaming and consciousness. You're lying on something soft, not a mattress, but dried grasses gathered from the riverbank 3 days ago. Animal furs draped over your body, still warm from the heat of other sleepers pressed close beside you. There's no alarm clock to shatter this moment, no jarring sound pulling you from rest. Instead, you surface slowly, like a fish rising through still water toward morning light. The first sensation isn't sight, it's smell. Wood smoke, thick and sweet with undertones of pine resin. It's woven so deeply into your existence that you barely notice it anymore, like the scent of your own skin or the breath of the person sleeping beside you. Beneath that, something earthier, the mineral smell of limestone walls, the green scent of crushed grass under bodies, the faint musk of unwashed human beings who haven't discovered soap and wouldn't understand why they'd need it. Then comes sound. Not silence. The wilderness is never truly silent. A baby's cry, soft and brief, followed by the gentle shushing of a mother. The crackle and pop of embers being fed fresh wood. Someone coughing. The scrape of stone on stone as an early riser works on yesterday's broken tool. Outside the shelter, birds are conducting their dawn chorus. Each species with its own voice, its own urgent message about territories and mates and the business of being alive. You're in a rock shelter somewhere in Ice Age Europe, or maybe North Africa, or the Middle East. The exact location doesn't matter as much as the moment itself, this threshold between sleep and waking that humans have crossed every single day for hundreds of thousands of years. It's approximately 40,000 years before you were born. Before cities, before agriculture, before writing, before anyone had conceived of such a thing as a job or a weekend. But here's what might surprise you. You, this version of you living in deep time, are not fundamentally different from the person listening to these words right now. Your brain. Identical in size and structure to a modern human brain. Your body. The same. If you could somehow pull that Paleolithic person forward through time, give them a shower and modern clothes, they could walk down a city street without anyone noticing. The DNA is the same. The capacity for language, for abstract thought, for love and jealousy and humor and grief, all the same. What's different is everything else. So let's ask the question that fascinates anyone who studies human prehistory. What would your day actually look like? Not the Hollywood version with constant danger and dramatic music, not the cartoon caveman grunting and clubbing things. What did a real person, identical to you in every biological way, actually do from sunrise to sunset 40,000 years ago? The answer is going to challenge everything you think you know about human progress. We've been told a story about our ancestors. A story about desperate scarcity, about every waking moment consumed by the struggle to survive, about lives that were, in the famous phrase, nasty, brutish, and short. We imagine them as less than fully human, primitive, limited, struggling. But what if that entire narrative is wrong? What if the archaeological evidence, the actual physical remains of how people lived, tells a completely different story? What if your Paleolithic ancestors weren't working themselves to exhaustion? What if they had more free time than you do? What if their lives, while certainly dangerous in ways ours aren't, were also rich with art, music, play, and leisure in ways that might make our modern lives seem, well, impoverished? Studies of contemporary hunter-gatherer societies, the closest living analogs we have to Ice Age life, reveal something startling. On average, adults spend somewhere between 3 and 6 hours per day on subsistence work, finding food, preparing it, maintaining tools and shelter. 3 to 6 hours. The rest, socializing, resting, playing, making art, telling stories, just being. Compare that to the modern human schedule. 8 hours of work, often more. Commuting, household chores, the endless maintenance of modern life. How many hours of true, unstructured leisure do you have in a week? When was the last time you spent an entire afternoon doing absolutely nothing productive, with no sense of guilt? Your ancestors did that regularly, not because they were lazy, but because their economic system, if you can even call it that, didn't require constant labor. Now, before we go any further, let's pause for a moment. If you're listening to this to help you fall asleep, you're in the right place. That's exactly what this is designed for. You can close your eyes now if you haven't already. Let your body settle. There's nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to do except drift and listen. Maybe leave a comment later about where you are right now, what time zone you're in, what landscape surrounds you as you listen to stories about landscapes from 40,000 years ago. I always read the comments, and there's something beautiful about knowing that someone in Seoul, and someone in São Paulo, and someone in Stockholm are all falling asleep to the same story about our shared human past. But back to that morning, 40,000 years ago. The archaeological evidence paints a picture that contradicts almost every assumption we make about prehistoric life. Yes, people died from things we'd easily cure today. Yes, injuries could be catastrophic. Yes, infant mortality was higher than we'd find acceptable now. But within those constraints, people lived complex, meaningful, fully human lives. They laughed. We know this because humor requires sophisticated language and social cognition, both of which were fully developed by this point. They fell in love. They competed for status. They held grudges and forgave them. They had best friends and people they couldn't stand. They created art so beautiful that when modern humans first discovered it in deep caves, they couldn't believe primitive people had made it. They cared for their elderly and disabled, evidence of which appears in skeletons, showing healed injuries that would have required months of care. They buried their dead with ceremony, placing tools and ornaments in graves, suggesting they imagined some kind of journey after death. They were, in every sense, fully human. So let's stop calling them primitive. Let's stop imagining them as rough drafts of humanity, waiting for civilization to complete them. Instead, let's spend a day with them. An ordinary day, not the day the mammoth hunt succeeded or the rival band attacked. Just a regular day in late summer or early autumn when the weather is mild and food is relatively abundant. Let's see how they actually spent their time, and maybe, in the process, We'll discover something about how we spend our time, about what we've gained in 40,000 years of progress, and what, perhaps, we've lost. So you're waking up now, in that rock shelter, in that world without clocks. There's no sudden alarm yanking you into consciousness. No immediate panic about being late. The concept of late doesn't really exist yet. There are no appointments, no schedules, no externally imposed timeframes. Your body decides when you wake up. The sun decides. The sounds of the camp stirring around you decide. Consciousness returns in layers, like water gradually becoming clear. First, sensation. The cold morning air on your face, the only part of you exposed outside the furs. The warmth beneath you, generated by your own body and the bodies of your family members sleeping close. In winter, you'll sleep even closer, sometimes with a half-domesticated wolf dog curled against you. Its thick fur better than any blanket. Your eyes open to gray pre-dawn light filtering through the entrance of the shelter. The ceiling curves above you. Natural limestone, stained black in patches from decades or centuries of smoke. Your people didn't build this shelter. They found it, claimed it, made it home. Someone is already awake. There's always someone awake. We know from studying modern hunter-gatherers and from sleep science that humans likely didn't sleep the way we do now. One long, unbroken block of unconsciousness. Instead, sleep was probably biphasic, sometimes polyphasic. You'd sleep for several hours after dark, wake naturally for an hour or two in the middle of the night, then sleep again until dawn. During those quiet midnight hours, people would talk softly, tend the fire, check on children, make love, or simply lie there thinking. This pattern meant someone was almost always awake, always listening, always maintaining that crucial boundary between the safe circle of firelight and the dangerous darkness beyond. The person awake now is feeding the fire. You can hear it, the careful placement of dry wood on embers, the pause, the sudden catch and crackle as flames take hold. Listen to that sound, the ancient sound, the sound that meant survival, meant safety, meant home. Fire management was perhaps the most critical skill your people possessed. Let it die completely, and you'd face a crisis. You'd have to travel to another band's camp, possibly days away, to borrow embers. Or you'd have to create fire from scratch using friction methods, hand drill or bow drill, which could take hours of exhausting work and wasn't guaranteed to succeed. Far better to simply keep it alive. Keep it fed. Never let it go out. So someone always took responsibility. Usually, it rotated. The elderly, who slept lightly and had wisdom to contribute even when their bodies couldn't hunt or gather as they once did. Young adults without small children. Sometimes it was simply whoever woke naturally and felt the call to tend the flames. As the fire brightens, more people stir. Children first. They always wake ready to move, ready to play, just like children now. You hear a small voice, the rustle of furs being pushed aside, a mother's quiet voice. Stay close, it's cold, wait for the sun. But children are terrible at waiting. Within moments, several of the older ones are up, stretching, gravitating toward the fire, like moths to light, their breath visible in the cold air. Adults wake more slowly. There's no urgency. This is crucial to understand. The entire modern concept of rushing, of time pressure, of being late, of needing to hurry, these simply don't exist in your world. Yes, there are rhythms, seasons, the movement of game animals, the ripening of plants, but on a day-to-day level, you follow the sun, your body's needs, the weather. Right now, the sun is just beginning to paint the eastern horizon. You have hours before anything urgent needs to happen. So, you stretch, slowly, methodically, working stiffness out of joints that spent the night on grass and stone. Yawn, scratch, stand and walk to the designated area at the edge of camp to relieve yourself, far enough from the living area to avoid contamination, close enough to still be safe. Someone steps outside to check the surroundings. This is habit, instinct, survival wisdom accumulated over millennia. What changed overnight? Any new tracks? What's the weather doing? That cloud formation, does it mean rain? The wind, is it bringing different scents, different information about what's moving in the wider landscape? Paleolithic humans were readers of signs in ways we can barely comprehend. They could interpret the behavior of birds to know if a predator was nearby. They could read weather days in advance. They could identify individual animals by their tracks and tell you their size, health, direction, speed, and how long ago they passed. All this information gets shared as more people wake and gather near the fire. Conversations begin quietly, then build as the group consciousness comes online. Someone might mention a dream. And in your world, dreams aren't dismissed as mere neural noise. They might be messages, warnings, visits from the dead, worth discussing, worth considering. Plans form, but loosely. Food is needed, it's always needed. But what kind and where? Someone saw berry bushes ripening yesterday. Someone else noticed animal tracks. A third person suggests checking fishing spots. These aren't orders. No one gives commands in the way we think of hierarchy. Instead, decisions emerge organically from discussion, from people choosing to follow those who have relevant knowledge. But that's still ahead. Right now, in these early moments, the main activity is simply being together. The band, your extended family, your survival unit, your whole world, is reassembling after the night's dissolution into sleep. Everyone survived another night. Everyone is here, present, ready for another day. There's deep comfort in this. Safety in numbers, yes, but also something more profound. Humans evolved to need each other. Those ancestors who felt anxious alone, but content in groups, they were the ones who survived. Their genes, which include the genes that make isolation painful and community necessary, are the ones you carry. Your nervous system was literally shaped by 40,000 years of mornings, exactly like this one. Children are playing now, running, chasing, wrestling. The same physical play that builds coordination and social skills in every human culture. Adults watch with divided attention, letting kids be kids, but ready to intervene if someone gets hurt or wanders too far. Meanwhile, practical work begins. Someone checks yesterday's tools. Is that spear point still secure? Did that basket develop weak spots? Is there enough cordage, or does someone need to make more? These aren't chores in the modern sense, tasks you resent doing before getting to what you really want to do. They're just life, necessary, natural, like breathing, and all of it happens without any sense of time pressure. The sun climbs higher, the morning chill fades. You've been awake perhaps an hour, though you have no way to measure it and no reason to care. Your stomach reminds you it's empty. Other people are probably feeling the same. Soon, attention will turn to food, but for now, you're simply here, warm, safe, surrounded by people who know your face, your voice, your role in the group. People whose survival depends on yours, just as yours depends on theirs. This is waking up 40,000 years ago. No jarring alarms, no racing against the clock. Just the slow, communal transition from sleep to wakefulness, guided by light and bodies and rhythms older than language itself. It's a pattern so deeply embedded in human biology that you still feel it. That resistance to alarm clocks, that desire to wake slowly, to ease into the day rather than attacking it. That's not laziness. That's not modern indulgence. That's 40,000 years of evolution, remembering how mornings are supposed to feel. Let's talk about food. But first, let's talk about what food isn't in your world 40,000 years ago. It isn't breakfast at 7 a.m., lunch at noon, dinner at 6. Those rigid meal times are modern inventions, born from factory schedules and school bells. It isn't something you buy from a store, already packaged, already processed, already divorced from its origin. It isn't separate from work, from culture, from social relationships, from the landscape itself. Food, in your Paleolithic world, is all of those things at once. It's sustenance, yes, but it's also knowledge, memory, relationship, and story. So, when you wake up hungry, as you are now, you don't go to a kitchen. You don't open a refrigerator. You don't pour cereal from a box or pop bread into a toaster. Instead, you look around the camp to see what's available. And you eat. Simple as that. Maybe there's leftover meat from the successful hunt 3 days ago. A red deer brought down after hours of tracking, butchered carefully, the choicest parts eaten fresh, the rest preserved. The remaining meat has been hanging in the coolest part of the shelter, wrapped in its own hide, protected from flies by smoke and cooler autumn temperatures. It's starting to develop that gamey smell that means you should finish it today or tomorrow. You pull off a strip. It's tough, demands real chewing. Your molars grind, your jaw muscles work. Dental analysis of Paleolithic skulls shows remarkable wear on teeth, evidence of lifetimes spent processing foods that required serious mechanical effort. But those same teeth reveal something unexpected. Microscopic analysis shows plant remains, starch grains from roots, epiphytoliths, tiny silica structures from grasses and seeds, pollen. Your ancestors weren't the pure carnivores of popular imagination. They were omnivores in the truest sense, eating everything the landscape offered. Near the meat, there's a wooden bowl, really just folded bark sealed with pine resin, filled with hazelnuts gathered during yesterday's foraging expedition. You take a handful, crack them between your back teeth with practiced precision. Listen to that sound. The sharp crack of shell. The satisfying crunch as the nut meat breaks apart. The work of your tongue separating shell fragments from the edible parts. This technique was learned in childhood by watching adults. No one sat you down for formal instruction. You simply watched, tried, failed, tried again, until by age 5 or 6, you could crack nuts as efficiently as anyone. Next to the nuts sits a leather pouch of dried berries, blackberries collected during late summer's abundance, laid out in the sun until they shriveled into concentrated sweetness. You eat several. The sugar hits your bloodstream quickly, providing immediate energy. But the real treasure, the food that required real knowledge to prepare, is the basket of roots near the fire. These were dug yesterday from the riverbank by one of the older women. Cattail roots, starchy and filling, but completely inedible raw. Raw, they're tough, bitter, and contain compounds that would give you terrible stomach cramps. So, they've been placed near the fire overnight. Not in the flames. That would char them. Just close enough that residual heat slowly breaks down tough fibers and converts complex starches into digestible sugars. This is cooking. But not like anything you'd recognize from a modern kitchen. No temperature control, no timer, no recipe. Just knowledge, accumulated over thousands of years, about what heat does to different plants. By morning, the roots are transformed, soft enough to eat, sweet enough to enjoy, safe enough to digest. You pull one from the basket, careful not to burn your fingers. Peel away the outer layer. Bite into the flesh. It's not delicious by modern standards, but it's filling, satisfying, safe, and that's what matters. This transformation, from inedible to edible through the application of fire, represents one of humanity's most important technological breakthroughs. It effectively doubled or tripled the number of plant species your ancestors could exploit. Tubers toxic when raw became staples when cooked. Seeds that would pass through the gut unchanged became nutrition when heated. The evidence for this dietary diversity is overwhelming. Coprolites, fossilized feces found at archaeological sites, tell detailed stories about what people ate. Under microscopes, scientists find seeds from dozens of plant species, pollen grains, fragments of leaves and roots, even insect parts. Grasshoppers, beetle larvae, termites. These might not appeal to modern Western palates, but they're actually excellent protein and fat sources. Many contemporary hunter-gatherer societies consider insects delicacies. There's no reason to think your ancestors felt differently. Dental calculus, the hardened plaque on teeth, provides even more detail. When scraped from Paleolithic skulls and examined under high magnification, it reveals microscopic plant remains. Wild grain starches, root vegetable fibers, even plant material that was probably chewed for moisture or to soften it for other uses. What emerges is a picture of remarkable dietary flexibility. Coastal groups ate fish, shellfish, seaweed, seabirds, sea mammals, plus coastal plants. Inland forest people ate deer, boar, nuts, berries, roots, mushrooms. River communities ate fish, waterfowl, aquatic plants, and animals that came to drink. The menu changed with seasons, with weather, with animal migrations. But the underlying strategy remained constant. Eat everything edible. This flexibility was survival. Environments change. Droughts happen. Herds migrate unpredictably. A group that could only eat one or two things would starve when those resources failed. But a group that could eat 50 different species, they'd always find something. As you eat your morning meal, others are doing the same. A young mother shares nuts with her toddler, demonstrating how to crack them, how to extract the meat without shell fragments. The child is clumsy. Small hands lack strength and coordination, but he's learning. In a few years, he'll teach his own younger siblings. An older woman is preparing something more complex. She's pounding leftover meat between stones, mixing it with rendered fat and dried berries. Listen to that sound, the rhythmic thud-thud-thud of stone on stone, the wet, organic sound of meat being pulverized, the scrape as she works everything together. She's making what would later be called pemmican, though she has no name for it. Just food that lasts. Concentrated nutrition that can be carried on journeys or stored for lean times. This is technical knowledge, precise as any recipe. The ratio of meat to fat to berries must be correct, or it spoils. The pounding must be thorough, or it won't bind. She learned this from her mother, who learned from hers. Knowledge transmitted across hundreds of generations. Nobody eats alone. That almost never happens. Food is fundamentally social, shared, distributed according to unwritten but universally understood rules. The hunter who killed the deer 3 days ago isn't eating more than anyone else. In fact, he might be eating less. That's how the system works. Kill an animal, share it with everyone, and when someone else succeeds, they'll share with you. This is insurance, risk pooling, the social technology that keeps everyone alive. Children dart between adults, stealing bites, getting playfully swatted, or having food pressed into their hands. Nobody hoards from children. If there's not quite enough, adults eat less to ensure the young ones are fed. The meal isn't formal. People eat standing, sitting, walking, talking, laughing, but it serves crucial functions anyway. Everyone's together, bonds reinforcing, information sharing, plans forming. The hazelnuts in the northern grove should be ready. Several women and older children volunteer to check. I saw deer tracks near the river yesterday. The hunters exchange glances, begin mentally preparing. Decisions emerge from conversation, not command. Meanwhile, food preparation continues. Hands stay busy. Someone grinds seeds between stones, a rhythmic, meditative scritch, scritch, scritch. Someone sorts dried herbs, discarding moldy specimens. A teenager practices using a sharp flint flake to slice meat into thin strips for drying. These skills are learned through observation and practice. No written instructions, no formal teaching. Watch, imitate, fail, try again. By adulthood, you possess encyclopedic food knowledge, 200 to 300 plant species identified on site. You know which parts are edible and when, how to find them in different seasons, how to process them, how to store them. Ethnographic studies of modern hunter-gatherers confirm this. They know which plants are medicinal, which are toxic, which are useful for cordage or poison or dye. Your ancestors possessed similar knowledge. They had to. Eat the wrong mushroom, death. Fail to properly prepare certain roots, days of agonizing cramps. This isn't casual knowledge. This is life and death information, carefully preserved and transmitted across generations. As the morning meal winds down, someone feeds the fire a few more sticks. The embers never fully die if someone's paying attention. Fire is too valuable, too difficult to create from scratch. Better to keep it alive through constant, gentle tending. The responsibility rotates, but someone always takes it. The meal wasn't elaborate, but it was adequate. Everyone has eaten. Bellies are reasonably full. Energy levels sufficient for whatever the day brings. And that's all that's needed. Your ancestors weren't gourmets, but they understood nutrition intuitively. They knew variety mattered. Different foods provided different benefits. Balance across days and weeks was more important than perfection at every meal. They ate to live, yes, but they also lived to eat. Food was pleasure, even when simple. The satisfaction of a perfectly cracked nut, the sweetness of ripe berries, the rich fattiness of roasted bone marrow. These weren't just calories, they were experiences, shared moments, connections to landscape and to each other. Now, with morning fully present and hunger satisfied, it's time for the day's real work to begin. Here's a secret about the past that nobody teaches in school. The hunt, dramatic, dangerous, celebrated in cave paintings and modern documentaries, was not what kept your ancestors alive. Gathering was. Let that settle for a moment. All those images of men with spears chasing mammoths, all those stories of heroic kills and narrow escapes, they happened. But they were the exception, not the rule. On any given day in your Paleolithic world, somewhere between 60 and 80% of the calories consumed by your band came from plants, roots pulled from earth, nuts cracked between stones, berries plucked from bushes, seeds ground into flour, tubers roasted in coals. The percentage varied. Coastal groups relied more on shellfish. Northern communities ate more meat during winter. But for most human populations, most of the time, when plants were the foundation, this wasn't because your ancestors preferred vegetables. It was mathematics. A successful hunt might feed everyone for days, but hunts failed far more often than they succeeded. Animals are fast, alert, dangerous. They require hours of tracking, careful coordination, and considerable luck. Plants, by contrast, don't run away. They're where you left them last season, growing in patterns you can learn to predict. So while hunters pursued glory and occasionally returned with meat, the majority of your band was engaged in the actual work of survival, walking the landscape with practiced eyes, reading botanical signs invisible to outsiders, collecting the foods that would fill tonight's meal. Now, here's where we need to be careful about assumptions. For a long time, anthropologists told a simple story. Men hunted. If women gathered, it was presented as natural law, biologically determined, inevitable. But the evidence reveals something more complex. Yes, in many groups, women and children did most gathering, while men specialized in hunting. But not universally, not even mostly. Archaeological sites show women buried with hunting weapons. Isotope analysis of ancient bones reveals some women ate diets as meat-heavy as any male hunter. Some societies practiced communal hunting, where everyone participated. Others had specialized gatherers of both sexes who spent entire lives perfecting plant knowledge. The truth: prehistoric societies were pragmatic. They organized labor in ways that worked for their specific circumstances. Pregnant women might focus on gathering because it was compatible with carrying infants. Post-reproductive women might become the most valuable community members precisely because they could hunt without childbearing constraints. Young men might gather. Old men might teach children about plants. The key point: don't imagine gathering as less important or prestigious than hunting. It was specialist knowledge requiring years of training, and it kept everyone alive. So picture yourself on a gathering expedition. It's mid-morning now. The sun has burned away the mist. You're heading out with 3 others. Your mother's sister, who knows plant locations better than anyone, a younger cousin, maybe 11, who's learning the routes, and your own child, 3 years old, strapped to your back in a sling of softened deer hide. You're not wandering randomly. You're following a mental map built over years of observation. The oak grove 3 miles north should have acorns now. The wild onion patch near the creek is past prime, but cattails just beyond it will have edible roots. Maybe you'll find a beehive, maybe bird eggs, maybe nothing. The walk itself is no casual stroll. 5 to 10 miles today over terrain that would challenge modern hikers. Rocky hillsides, dense underbrush, streams to ford, slopes to climb. You're doing this while carrying a child and tools, a digging stick, fire-hardened and worn smooth, several woven baskets nested together, a leather bag for small finds, maybe a stone knife tucked in your fiber belt. But here's what makes gathering fundamentally different from hunting. It's not about adrenaline. It's about attention. You're reading landscape like text, noticing details invisible to untrained eyes, soil discoloration indicating tubers below, animal track patterns suggesting fruit trees nearby, sunlight angles revealing which hillside will have ripe berries. Your aunt stops at what looks like unremarkable ground, but she sees something you're still learning. A specific grass type that always grows near edible roots. She drives her digging stick into earth, probing. Listen to that sound. Wood scraping soil, soft resistance, the sudden thunk when the stick hits something solid. 3 inches down, contact. She works the stick around it, loosening soil, then reaches in with both hands. Out comes a tuber the size of a fist, pale, knobbly, unappetizing to look at, but you know from experience that tonight, roasted in coals, it will be sweet and filling. She hands it to you. You place it carefully in your basket. She digs again. Another. And another. This spot is rich. In 10 minutes, you've collected enough to feed everyone tonight with leftovers for tomorrow. But you're not done. Your aunt knows these plants intimately. More importantly, she knows their stories. Stories are how knowledge survives. She tells your cousin about the time her grandmother got terribly sick from eating a root that looked almost identical to this one, but had different leaves. She points out the distinction, 3 veins instead of 5. That tiny difference, the other plant would kill you. Shut down your breathing within hours. This is education, but nothing like a classroom. It's survival knowledge transmitted through story, demonstrated with actual specimens, reinforced through years of observation. Your cousin will learn hundreds of these lessons. By your age, she'll know perhaps 300 plant species by sight, by season, by location, which are edible, which medicinal, which deadly, when to harvest each, how to prepare it, what it's useful for. Modern botanists spend years in universities learning plant identification. Your ancestors learned by necessity, starting in early childhood, because mistakes meant death. The group moves on. You wade through a shallow stream, cold water shocking against your legs. On the far bank, your aunt spots something that makes her pause. Mushrooms, growing from a fallen log. She approaches carefully, examines them from multiple angles, even smells them. Mushrooms are tricky. Some are delicious and nutritious. Others cause violent illness. A few will kill you painfully. She picks 3, leaves the rest. She's certain about these ones. But caution is always wise. Hours pass in this rhythm, walking, observing, collecting. The baby on your back has fallen asleep, lulled by gentle motion. Your baskets grow heavier. Wild grapes, still slightly tart but edible. Seeds from a grass you'll grind into flour back at camp. Bark from a specific tree that, when boiled, makes fever-reducing tea. Your aunt collects this last item carefully, never taking so much that she damages the tree. She learned long ago, you must think about next season, next year, the generations coming after. This is sustainable harvesting, though your ancestors had no word for it. They simply knew, strip a plant bare, and it won't be there next time. Groups that learned this lesson survived. Those that didn't face starvation when resources ran out. By early afternoon, you're miles from camp. Your legs are tired, shoulders ache from basket weight. But there's something almost meditative about this work. No rush, no pressure, just steady rhythm, walking and gathering. Sun warmth, bird calls in canopy above. You're completely present in a way modern humans rarely experience. Every sense engaged, listening for animal rustles, watching for water shimmer indicating a stream ahead, smelling the air for smoke that might mean another band camping nearby. Your younger cousin asks a question. She spotted a plant with bright red berries. Are they safe to eat? Your aunt doesn't just answer. She walks over, examines the plant, launches into another story. How her mother once found these berries during a harsh winter when other food was scarce. How they sustained the band through 3 days of blizzard. How you must be careful because birds can eat them safely, but humans need to cook them first, otherwise stomach cramps. Knowledge transfer continues. Every plant is a lesson. Every location is memory. This landscape isn't just territory to your people. It's a library. Every tree, every stone, every stream carries information accumulated over generations. Your ancestors didn't write anything down, but they were far from ignorant. They were repositories of sophisticated ecological knowledge rivaling anything modern scientists compile. Finally, late afternoon, the group turns back toward camp. Baskets are full now, heavy with food that will feed your entire band tonight. You've walked maybe 8 miles total. Feet hurt. Back aches. The baby has woken, fussing, wanting to be fed. But you're satisfied. This is good work. Important work. The kind that keeps everyone alive. When you return to camp, there will be no fanfare. Nobody celebrates your return the way they celebrate successful hunts. But everyone knows the reality. Hunters might come back empty-handed tonight. They often do. But you brought food. Reliable, nutritious, life-sustaining food. And tomorrow, you'll go out and do it again. This is the rhythm that sustained humanity for hundreds of thousands of years. Not dramatic moments, the steady, patient, knowledgeable work of gathering. Your ancestors read landscape in ways we've almost completely forgotten. They paid attention to nature with intensity most modern humans never experience. And they did it not as hobby or spiritual practice, but as the fundamental work of survival. Let's shift our attention now to something that might surprise you about your ancestors' hunting life. They probably weren't hunting today, or yesterday, maybe not even this week. We carry this image in our minds. Prehistoric humans waking each morning and immediately heading out to chase mammoths, to wrestle saber-toothed cats, to engage in constant life-or-death struggles. Hollywood loves this narrative. It's dramatic, it's exciting, It makes good cinema, but it's almost entirely fiction. Hunting for early humans wasn't a daily grind. It was an occasional, high-stakes event requiring immense planning, patience, and, more often than not, ending in failure. A successful hunt might happen every few days if conditions were ideal, every few weeks if they weren't. The rest of the time was spent preparing, planning, tracking, and most importantly, relying on gathering to fill your stomach. But when a hunt did happen, it was extraordinary. So let's say today is one of those days. The signs have been accumulating. Yesterday, scouts spotted fresh tracks from a small antelope herd moving through a valley 5 miles from camp. The animals are heading toward a seasonal water source, following patterns your people have observed for generations. Timing is right. Weather is clear. Several experienced hunters are available and healthy. This is how it begins, not with sudden impulse, but with careful deliberation. The group gathers in early morning, 6 men, 2 women, all proven trackers and hunters. They discuss the plan using spoken language interwoven with hand signals, refined over thousands of years. Who takes which position? Where will animals likely go? What are fallback options if things don't work out? They carry spears. Each one is a masterpiece of prehistoric engineering that took days to create. The wooden shaft, carefully straightened over fire, seasoned for months to prevent warping. The stone point, knapped from high-quality flint traded from a quarry 200 miles away, attached with plant resin and sinew, processed and dried to create bonds stronger than most modern adhesives. Some hunters also carry atlatls, spear throwers using leverage to triple throwing velocity and distance. This technology is relatively new, maybe only a few thousand years old in your region, but it's revolutionizing hunting, just as the bow will revolutionize it thousands of years hence. The group moves out. Immediately, you'd notice something. They're not rushing. No frantic chase. No dramatic sprint across savanna. Instead, steady, sustainable walking pace, reading landscape as they go. This is where hunting becomes science. One tracker kneels beside a depression in sandy soil, studies it for long moments, then signals to others. The track is fresh, probably from this morning. Depth and clarity tell him the animal was walking, not alarmed. Spacing between tracks indicates a young adult. Healthy, good size but not too large to bring down. All this from a single hoof print. This isn't magic. It's pattern recognition honed over a lifetime of observation. Your people have tracked animals since childhood, learning to read landscape like you might read a book. Every broken twig, every disturbed pebble, every scratch on rock face tells part of the story. Where animals went, how fast they moved, how long ago they passed. Whether they were calm or alarmed, the group follows the trail for hours. No rushing, just steady walking, periodically stopping to check signs and adjust strategy. This is the part of hunting that never makes it into dramatic retellings. Long, patient stalking requiring more mental endurance than physical strength. Around midday, they spot the herd. 8 antelope grazing in a shallow valley near a waterhole. Critical decision point now. Attempt an ambush, trying to get within spear range, or use the technique that humans, uniquely among all predators, have perfected. They choose persistence hunting. Here's what makes humans terrifying predators. We can't outrun almost any animal in a sprint. A healthy antelope hits 50 miles per hour. Humans top out around 15, but we have something no other animal possesses. We can run for hours in midday heat without overheating. Thanks to nearly hairless bodies and incredible sweating capacity, we have Earth's most efficient cooling system for any large mammal. Most animals, covered in fur and lacking efficient cooling, must stop and rest after intense exertion, or they'll literally cook from the inside. The hunters spread out, begin jogging toward the herd. Not a sprint, just steady, sustainable trot. The antelopes spot them immediately. Bolt, gone in seconds, disappearing over a ridge. But the humans don't stop. They follow tracks at that same steady pace, reading signs, keeping up pressure. 1 hour passes, 2 hours. The sun is brutal now, the kind of heat that would drop most predators. But the humans keep moving. Bodies designed for exactly this endurance. They're sweating profusely. Yes, but that's the point. Each drop of moisture evaporating from skin carries away heat that would otherwise build up and shut down muscles. They find the herd again. The antelope run, but they're showing stress now. Tongues hanging, panting heavily. Can't cool down fast enough. The chase continues. 3 hours, 4. Trackers rotate the lead position, allowing individuals to drop back and recover slightly, while others maintain pressure. This is cooperative hunting at its finest. No single human could do this alone, but a coordinated group, communicating constantly, sharing effort, can accomplish the seemingly impossible. Finally, after nearly 5 hours, they close in on a single antelope separated from the herd. The animal is stumbling now. Cooling system overwhelmed. Muscles beginning to fail from combined heat and exhaustion. One hunter moves close enough for a spear throw. The weapon flies true, striking behind the shoulder. Moments later, it's over. The hunters stand around the fallen animal, not cheering or celebrating yet. First comes practical work. One makes a quick, precise cut, offers a prayer or acknowledgement. We can't know exact words or gestures, but evidence from multiple prehistoric sites suggests early humans performed some ritual around successful kills. Respect for the animal that gave its life. Gratitude to whatever spirits or forces they believed governed the hunt. Then comes butchering, itself a sophisticated technical operation. These hunters know animal anatomy better than most modern surgeons know human anatomy. Every muscle group, every organ, every useful piece. They work quickly, efficiently. The hide comes off in one piece, valuable for clothing and shelter. Choicest meat cuts are separated for immediate consumption and for carrying back to camp. Organs that spoil quickly are prepared for eating on site. Nothing is wasted. Even bones will eventually be cracked open for marrow, one of the most nutrient-dense foods available. But here's the problem. They're 5 miles from camp. They've just produced several hundred pounds of meat and materials. Can't carry it all in one trip. Leaving meat unattended means lions, hyenas, vultures will claim it within hours. This is where hunting's social dimension becomes crucial. 2 runners head back to camp at speed to bring reinforcements. The rest stay with the kill, building a fire to keep scavengers at bay, beginning to smoke some meat for preservation. Within hours, more people arrive from camp. Elders, children old enough to help carry, nursing mothers who left infants with relatives. Everyone participates in the harvest. The trip back to camp is celebration. Successful hunts are rare enough to be social events. There will be feasting tonight, stories told around fire, probably dancing and music. The hunters will recount the chase in detail, and in the telling, it becomes part of the community's collective memory. Another story to teach young people about strategy, persistence, cooperation. But let's be clear, this doesn't happen every day, or even every week. Between successful hunts, there are dozens of failed attempts, tracks leading nowhere, animals proving too fast or too alert, injuries forcing hunters to turn back, hunts that simply don't work out despite everyone doing everything right. And this is crucial to understanding prehistoric life. Hunting was important, absolutely. It provided concentrated protein and fat that gathering alone couldn't match. Social bonds formed during cooperative hunts helped cement group cohesion. Skills required, tracking, weapon crafting, strategic planning, pushed development of human intelligence and communication. But hunting was never the main calorie source for most prehistoric groups. That honor went to gathering, which happened daily, provided majority nutrition, and didn't require risking life and limb. Hunting was the occasional glory, the high-stakes gamble that sometimes paid off spectacularly. What made early humans successful wasn't being the best hunters. It's that they were good enough at hunting, while also being excellent at everything else. Gathering, tool-making, social cooperation, adapting to new environments. They were generalists who could deploy specialist skills when needed, and the hunt, when it succeeded, was just one thread in the complex tapestry of prehistoric survival. Tomorrow, whether today's hunt succeeded or failed, there would still be roots to dig, nuts to gather, tools to repair, children to teach, and the endless, patient work of staying alive in a world that was beautiful, abundant, and occasionally willing to reward the clever, the persistent, and the cooperative. The antelope is gone now, transformed into food, clothing, tools, but the knowledge of how it was taken, that lives on, passed from this generation to the next, refined and improved with each retelling until it becomes not just survival strategy, but culture. By midday, the camp fills with a sound that would be instantly recognizable to any craftsperson throughout history. Tap, tap, tap. Stone on stone. Not loud, not violent, just persistent, purposeful. The sound of someone making something that didn't exist before. Your aunt sits on a flat rock near the central fire, hammerstone in one hand, piece of flint in the other. Every few seconds, she strikes the flint at precisely the right angle. A small flake spins off into the dust. Around her, a scatter of rejected pieces and failed attempts, archaeological debris that will still be visible 40,000 years later, telling stories to people who've learned to read stone. This isn't occasional work. This is daily maintenance, essential as eating or sleeping. Tools don't last forever. That spear point used yesterday might have chipped when it hit bone. The scraper someone used to process hide last week. Its edge is dull now, almost useless. In a world without metal, without mass production, without the ability to simply buy replacements, you make your tools or you don't survive. But here's what's remarkable. Stone tool making, what archaeologists call knapping, wasn't something you figured out one afternoon. It was a skill requiring years to master. an understanding of stone properties bordering on intimate knowledge. Different rocks fractured in different ways. Flint was predictable. Obsidian was sharp but fragile. Chert was reliable but harder to work. You had to know where to find good stone, how to test it, how to recognize quality before investing hours of work. Watch your aunt working, and you'd see expertise accumulated over a lifetime. She's not just hitting rocks together randomly. She's reading the stone, seeing lines of potential fracture invisible to untrained eyes. Each strike is calculated. Too hard, the piece shatters. Too soft, nothing happens. The angle must be exact. Point of impact precisely chosen. It's geometry and physics executed entirely through intuition and muscle memory. The process is called the prepared core technique. It represents centuries of accumulated knowledge. Your aunt has shaped this flint piece over the past hour, carefully removing flakes to create a core with just the right shape and angle. Now she's ready for the payoff. Listen to this sound. Crack. One perfect strike, and a long, thin blade detaches from the core, sharp enough to slice through hide or meat with minimal pressure. She examines it critically, runs her thumb along the edge, nods. Good enough, but she's not done. The blade needs hafting, attachment to a handle making it actually useful. This is where craft becomes art. She prepared a wooden handle earlier, a piece of hardwood with a slot carved into one end. Now she pulls out a small leather pouch containing pine resin she collected and heated until sticky, mixed with charcoal and crushed bone for strength. Prehistoric super glue. Watching her work, you'd notice something fascinating. She doesn't need to think about most steps. Her hands move automatically through processes performed thousands of times. Heat resin over fire, apply to handle slot, position blade precisely. Wrap the joint with thin sinew strips that will shrink and tighten as they dry. The entire process takes maybe 10 minutes, but draws on decades of experience and generations of accumulated knowledge. Near her, your brother works on a different problem entirely. He has a piece of antler from the deer killed 3 days ago. He's slowly, patiently carving it into a spear point. This is different from stonework. Antler is organic, flexible, capable of taking impacts that would shatter stone. But it's also harder to shape, requiring different tools and techniques. He's using a stone baron, a chisel-like tool, to scrape and carve the antler. The work is tedious, producing constant soft scraping sound that counterpoints your aunt's rhythmic napping. Thin antler curls fall away with each stroke, accumulating in a small pile at his feet. Every so often, he stops, tests the point against his thumb, checks sharpness and balance. This point will be different from stone-tipped spears most hunters use. Lighter, more flexible, can be thrown farther, less likely to break on impact, but it takes hours to make. Antler is only available when someone successfully hunts deer or similar animals. Stone is everywhere. Antler is precious. So you use it carefully for special purposes, and you make sure everyone in the group knows who made what. Because here's something the archaeological record has only recently revealed. Prehistoric craftspeople took pride in their work. We know this because we find tools more beautiful than they needed to be. Stone points shaped with perfect symmetry, even though asymmetrical points would work just as well. Bone needles decorated with tiny carved patterns. Antler spear throwers carved into animal shapes. Nobody decorates something purely functional unless they care about aesthetics, unless they want their work to be recognizable, admired. Your brother's spear point will be efficient, yes, but it will also be beautiful. Because when you carry it, when you use it to feed your family, you want everyone to know who made it. Status, reputation, identity, all conveyed through craftsmanship. Across the camp, 3 women work on an equally essential task: clothing production. One scrapes a deer hide stretched across a wooden frame, using a stone scraper to remove every trace of fat and membrane from the inner surface. The sound is distinctive, rhythmic scritch, 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 carrying across camp. Her hands move in steady strokes, overlapping each path slightly to ensure complete coverage. This isn't quick work. A single hide might require hours of scraping, and even then, you're not done. The hide must be treated, either by smoking it over fire or by rubbing it with a mixture of brain tissue and fat that prevents it from becoming stiff when dried. Brain tanning is chemistry without labs, developed through centuries of trial and error. Someone, somehow, figured out that brains contain exactly the right compounds to preserve leather. Maybe they discovered it by accident. Maybe through systematic experimentation. Either way, knowledge has been passed down parent to child for generations. Nearby, her sister works on a hide that's already been tanned. She has a bone awl, a pointed tool for punching holes, and she's slowly, methodically creating a garment. Punch a hole, thread sinew through, punch another hole. The stitching is crude by modern standards, but remarkably effective. These clothes will be warm, durable, flexible. They'll last for seasons, maybe years, protecting wearers from cold that could kill in hours. The third woman is doing something that would have seemed impossible to earlier humans, sewing with an actual needle, a tiny bone piece drilled with a hole at one end, threaded with sinew. This technology is less than 20,000 years old in your time, a recent innovation that revolutionized clothing production. With needles, you can make clothes that actually fit, that can be tailored to individual bodies, that can be decorated with sewn-on beads or dyed leather strips. She's making winter clothing for her daughter, fur-lined and layered, warm enough for brutal cold that will come in a few months. The little girl sits nearby, watching intently, occasionally trying to help. This is how knowledge transfers, not through formal instruction, but through constant observation and imitation. By age 10, she'll be competent at basic hide work. By 20, she might be one of the most skilled leather workers in the group. But clothing and tools aren't the only things being made. An older man sits by himself, working on something smaller, more delicate. He has a collection of shells he traded for last summer when a neighboring group visited from the coast, 3 weeks' walk away. Now he's drilling tiny holes in them with a stone drill, a painstaking process requiring steady hands and infinite patience. These will become beads, strung on plant fiber cord to make necklaces or bracelets. Purely decorative, purely social. Nobody needs jewelry to survive. But humans have been making it for at least 100,000 years, probably longer, because survival isn't enough. We need beauty, status markers, ways to express identity and affiliation. Those beads say, I have connections to the coast. I have time to make beautiful things. I value aesthetics. All of that conveyed through pierced shells on a string. What's striking about all this activity is the specialization. Not everyone is good at everything. Your aunt has spent decades mastering stonework and is genuinely expert. Your brother excels at antler and bone carving, but is merely adequate at napping. The woman making winter clothing is the best leather worker in the group. When her skills are needed, others contribute food or help with other tasks in exchange. This isn't quite a market economy, but it's close. Recognition that different people have different talents and that the group benefits when people specialize. It's also the foundation for something that will become increasingly important: social complexity. In groups where everyone could do everything equally well, there wasn't much basis for hierarchy or status differentiation. But when individuals developed specialized skills that others needed, power dynamics shifted. The best toolmaker, the best leather worker, the best artist, they all gained influence transcending simple physical strength or hunting ability. And everywhere, children watch. A boy of maybe 8 sits near your aunt, trying to replicate her movements with his own small stones. Most attempts fail, producing nothing useful. But she encourages him anyway. Occasionally, she takes his hand, guides his strikes, shows him the right angle. This is education, prehistoric style. No schools, no formal curriculum, just constant observation and practice under expert guidance. By age 15, he might be competent at basic toolmaking. By 25, if he has talent and dedication, he might be expert enough to teach others. And knowledge would flow forward another generation, each one adding small refinements. Tiny improvements that would accumulate over centuries into technological revolutions. The afternoon sun moves across the sky. The sounds of craft continue. Tapping, scraping, crackling fire, occasional conversation, creating the material culture that makes human life possible. Building, one patient stroke at a time, the foundation for everything that will come after. Let's pull back now from the details of stone and hide and look at something more fundamental: the structure of human connection itself. You're not alone in this Paleolithic world. You live in a band, not a village. That concept doesn't exist yet. Not a city. Unimaginable. A tiny human world of maybe 20, 30, 40 people. Rarely more than 50. Small enough that you know every voice before you see the face, every footstep in the dark, every breathing pattern in sleep. You can tell who's walking behind you by the way their foot drags slightly. You recognize a cough in the middle of the night and know exactly whose child is sick. This isn't coincidence. It's how your species works. Bands that are too small can't defend themselves, can't share enough skills, can't find enough marriage partners. Too vulnerable. And bands that are too big become unstable. Too many conflicts, too many mouths, too hard to move together when herds migrate or seasons change. So natural selection, culture, and sheer practicality have pushed your ancestors into a sweet spot, a living room-sized society. Intimate, flexible, deeply personal. Everyone in that little group exists in a mental map in your head. Three-dimensional, constantly updating. Who's generous? Who's lazy? Who can be trusted with secrets? Who will share food when the hunt fails? Who will quietly slip your child a piece of dried meat when you're not looking? These invisible maps of relationships are as important as stone tools or fire. they're how your people survive. And where there are relationships, there is conflict. Not courtroom drama. Not kings and judges. But everyday frictions wearing away at the social fabric. Someone took more meat than they earned. Someone flirted with someone else's partner. Someone skipped their turn at Firewatch. In a band this small, you can't just walk away and never see them again. You're going to be sleeping 10 feet from them tonight and tomorrow night and the night after. So how do you keep peace without police, laws, or prisons? You use the oldest tools human beings ever invented: gossip, mediation, reputation. Gossip in your world isn't idle chatter. It's law enforcement, news, and social media rolled into one. When two hunters argue over who wounded the antelope first, people notice. The story gets repeated around the fire that night. Retold, reshaped. By the time it's made the rounds, everyone knows who was selfish, who was generous, who apologized, who held a grudge. No one writes anything down, but nothing is forgotten. If someone hoards food, that becomes a story. Remember when he hid that marrow bone? Next time there's a shortage, people may be slower to share with him. If someone is brave in a dangerous hunt or kind to a sick elder, that becomes a story too. These stories are your social credit score. They determine who gets help when trouble comes, who's trusted with important tasks, who's allowed to sit in on serious conversations. For bigger conflicts, you don't have a courthouse. You have elders. The older woman who has witnessed 100 arguments about meat and marriage. The man who remembers the last time two brothers almost came to blows and how that was settled. They're not judges in the modern sense, but people turn to them when tempers flare. They sit between angry parties, speak slowly, bring up past events, add context, remind everyone of shared hardships and past kindnesses. Mediation is survival strategy. A feud in a band of 30 can be a death sentence. Split the group in half, and suddenly each side is too small to defend itself, too weak to move far, too vulnerable to the next bad winter. So the whole social system is quietly biased toward reconciliation. People tease instead of accusing directly. They complain in roundabout ways. They sing songs that hint at bad behavior rather than naming names. It might sound indirect, but that soft pressure is powerful. It lets people change without losing face, lets them step back from the edge. Underneath all of this, there's a simple truth. Your survival depends on other people. That starts early, from the moment you're born. In your band, children don't belong to just one nuclear family in the modern sense. They belong to the camp, to the group, to the network. Your mother matters, your father matters, but so do your grandparents, aunts, uncles, older siblings, even unrelated adults who've basically been adopted into the family circle. In modern anthropology's language, this is cooperative breeding. In your ancestors' language, it's just life. Your mother might be off gathering roots, carrying your younger sibling, helping process meat. Someone else keeps you entertained. An aunt lets you gnaw on a bit of hide. An older cousin shows you how to stack little stones. A grandmother hums rhythmic patterns while braiding cord, and your brain quietly absorbs the sounds of your language. It takes a village isn't a metaphor here. It's a job description. If your mother dies, or gets injured, or simply has to walk all day tracking migrating herds, You don't automatically die with her. There are other breasts to nurse from, other arms to carry you, other minds invested in your survival. That redundancy, multiple adults caring for the same children, is an invisible safety net woven through early human life. It also frees people to specialize. Some adults are better at patient teaching, some at rough play teaching balance and strength, some at comforting you when nightmares come. The result is that by age 10 or 12, you've learned from a whole village worth of teachers, each passing on tiny knowledge fragments cribbed from their own parents and grandparents. Relationships and partnerships within this world are more varied than simple. One man, one woman forever. Different environments, different cultures, different times probably saw different patterns. In some groups, long-term pair bonds might have been the norm, partners raising children together for many seasons. In others, partnerships may have been more fluid, people forming and dissolving unions as circumstances changed. There could have been arrangements we'd call polygynous, one man linked to multiple women, or polyandrous, one woman at the center of multiple male alliances, especially in tough environments where resource sharing was critical. The key point: there was no single natural prehistoric marriage model. What remained constant was the need to manage jealousy, share resources, protect children. Formal taboos, joking relationships, unspoken rules all evolved to make this possible. Who can approach whom? Who owes whom meat or favors? Who can joke about what in public? These patterns act like quiet traffic lights, guiding everyone through the emotional maze of desire, loyalty, responsibility. And a band of 30 isn't the whole world. Beyond the circle of familiar faces around your fire, there are other bands, other groups speaking similar languages or dialects, tied to you by distant kinship, old alliances, simple habit. You might only see them a few times a year, but those visits are some of the most important events in your life. Imagine late summer, end of dry season, resources temporarily abundant in one particular valley. Herds gather, fish run, fruit trees heavy. Word spreads, not with phones or maps, but through chains of meetings. A lone hunter passes another band, mentions where game is thick. A visiting cousin talks about a river bend full of fish. Slowly, bands converge. This is your version of a festival. At seasonal gatherings, trade blossoms. A man from a coastal group brings shells and dried fish. Someone from the mountains brings obsidian for blades. Others have ochre for paint, fine skins, carved bone tools. Objects travel hundreds of miles in small jumps, changing hands again and again. Each trade sealed with conversation, stories, maybe a shared meal. Mating happens here too. If your band only has 30 people, you don't want everyone pairing up exclusively inside that tiny circle for generation after generation. Inbreeding is a silent killer. So, alliances with other bands matter. Young people meet potential partners from outside. Some return to your band with a new mate. Some leave, joining another group permanently. In modern terms, this is population genetics. For your ancestors, it's just life moving forward. These gatherings are also where information spreads. Someone discovered a new way of attaching stone points more securely with plant resin. Someone found a valley where winter is less harsh. Someone noticed a new predator in the area. Stories, warnings, techniques ripple out through these networks like radio transmissions traveling across continents, but carried in memories and words instead of wires. All of this depends on one extraordinary adaptation: language. Not just grunts and gestures, but layered, flexible, combinatorial speech. The ability to say not just lion and there, but 3 lions came from that ravine last dry season when the river was low, so don't camp there with small children. The ability to explain a hunting strategy. A myth, a dream. By 40,000 years ago, your ancestors almost certainly had languages as capable as any spoken today. Different vocabularies, different rhythms, but the same basic cognitive machinery: syntax, tense, metaphor, jokes, insults, love songs, lullabies. Language lets your band coordinate complex hunts, lets elders tell children about dangers they've never personally seen, lets news of distant drought reach you before you run out of food. And at night, lying half asleep near the fire, language lets you drift on waves of quiet storytelling, tales of heroic animals, clever ancestors, dangerous spirits, lost lovers. In this world, the elderly aren't pushed aside. They're hard drives. In a physically demanding life, an old body can't do everything it once did. Knees ache, eyes blur, hands shake a little when napping stone. But the mind, honed by decades of experience, becomes more valuable with each passing year. The old man who can't chase deer can still remember which stars mark seasonal change. The grandmother who no longer gathers far from camp remembers which plants cure stomach pain and which ones are deadly. The elder who lived through brutal winter can advise when it's time to move, even if sky and ground look deceptively calm. When a child's fever spikes, elders recall past fevers and what helped. When smoke on the horizon hints at distant fire, they remember the last time forest burned. Which animals fled which way, which valley stayed safe. They're walking libraries of famine and abundance, of floods and dry years, of conflicts and reconciliations. In a world without books, losing an elder suddenly is like a modern library catching fire overnight. Which brings us to death. People died young. Often, infection, injury, childbirth, accidents while hunting, or simply falling from trees. But what's striking in the archaeological record is not just the fact of death, it's how people responded to it. We find graves, not just bodies dropped in holes, but careful arrangements. Skeletons curled in fetal positions, sometimes dusted with red ochre, as if painted for a final journey. Individuals buried with tools, beads, pieces of meat, animal teeth, ornaments. In some Neanderthal sites, bodies appear to have been laid to rest in pits, then filled deliberately, perhaps even with flowers. This suggests something more than disposal. It hints at ritual. Maybe your band believes the dead continue in another place. Maybe they become animals. Maybe they watch over the living. Maybe there are stories about a shadow world under the ground or above the clouds. Whatever the specific belief, one thing seems clear: death is not treated as nothing. When someone dies in your camp, ordinary rhythm breaks. Gathering trips postponed, hunts quieter. People sit closer together at night. Words spoken more softly. Children ask questions. Adults tell stories about the dead person's bravery, generosity, or foolish mistakes. Death, too, becomes part of the group's gossip, but in a different register. Not about behavior to be judged, but about meaning to be found. The act of burying the dead, of returning them to earth with care, does something to the living. It knits them together in shared grief, shared memory, shared fear, shared hope. In that sense, social life and community aren't just pleasant add-ons to early human existence. They are the core technology that made everything else possible. Your ancestors didn't survive because they were the strongest individuals. They survived because they were embedded in networks of care, obligation, communication, memory. Around that small circle of 20 to 50 faces, faces you know better than your own reflection, the entire human story is already unfolding. Cooperation and conflict, love and jealousy, wisdom and foolishness, birth and loss. A tiny, moving tribe carrying fire, tools, stories, and genes across the landscape. As the sun drifts lower and the day begins to cool, those bonds of community will shape the last hours of your prehistoric day. How you gather around the fire, what you sing, what you remember, and what you dare to dream about for tomorrow. As the day begins to wind down, when bellies are mostly full and the fire has burned to a steady orange glow, something else begins to happen. Something that doesn't fill your stomach or sharpen your spear, but feels necessary nonetheless. Your ancestors have another job besides staying alive. They have to make sense of being alive. Picture the entrance of a cave as night falls. The last light fades outside. Air cools. The sounds of insects and distant animal calls begin to rise. Inside, the fire paints the walls with moving shadows. Someone picks up a piece of red ochre. Someone else unrolls a length of sinew with shell beads threaded onto it. In the half-darkness, people start to transform themselves and the world around them. To us, it looks like art and religion. To them, it's probably just life. Let's start with the most famous evidence of that inner world. Deep in the dark, far from the cave mouth, far beyond where anyone needs to go to sleep or store food. There are paintings, not casual doodles near the entrance, not quick sketches made while waiting out rain. Some of the most spectacular images in Ice Age Europe appear hundreds of meters underground, in places you can't even reach without crawling or climbing, places where no sunlight ever reached. Horses, bison, lions, woolly rhinoceroses, mammoths, herds flowing across stone as if the rock itself was alive. Carefully chosen curves in the cave wall become the bulging shoulder of a bison, the arch of an animal's ribs, the swell of a horse's chest. Some images are shaded and layered, as if the artist wanted them to move in flickering torchlight. This wasn't interior decoration. Nobody was living down there. To create these paintings, people had to gather torches, fuel, pigments, tools. They had to organize expeditions into absolute darkness. They had to know the cave well enough not to get lost. They chose these places deliberately, then filled them with images that, as far as we know, only they would ever see. Why? We don't know. But there are clues. One possibility is teaching. Imagine the hunters of your group bringing adolescents into the cave, torches in hand, pointing at painted herds while they tell stories, where to aim your spear, how a wounded animal behaves, which season the bison pass through which valley. The cave walls become a kind of three-dimensional blackboard, a school hidden under the earth. Another possibility is ritual. In many traditional societies, Images of animals aren't just pictures, they're tools to influence reality, to draw a successful hunt into being before it happens, to honor the spirit of the animals you depend on, to apologize even for taking their lives. Those painted bison may have been more like prayers than paintings, or maybe it was both. Teaching wrapped in myth, practical knowledge encoded in sacred stories, a ritual hunt painted in the dark that prepared you for a real hunt in the dawn. And still, the question lingers: why so deep? Why risk the dangers of underground tunnels when a rock face outside would work just as well? Some archaeologists think those deep chambers were chosen exactly because they cut you off from ordinary life. Once you were down there, there was no day or night, no horizon, no weather, just stone, darkness, fire, voices, and whatever moved inside your own mind. That's the perfect recipe for altered states of consciousness, which brings us to something we can't fossilize, but we can infer: early spirituality. Across many hunter-gatherer cultures today, there are figures we'd call shamans, people who dance, chant, fast, or use psychoactive plants to enter trance states. They travel to other realms, talk to ancestors, negotiate with animal spirits, heal the sick. If something like that existed tens of thousands of years ago, and the evidence suggests it might have, it would make perfect sense to bring those ceremonies deep underground, into the belly of the earth itself. In the dark caves of Europe, archaeologists have found strange clusters of dots, lines, geometric signs around the animals. Not just realistic pictures, but abstract marks, ladders, zigzags, hand stencils, series of dots that may line up with lunar cycles. Some researchers think these marks formed an early notational system, a way of counting days, tracking seasons, maybe even predicting migrations. Others think those shapes resemble patterns people see in visions, the geometric flashes of light that appear behind closed eyes during trance. If that's true, then the walls of these caves are not just records of animals, but records of experiences inside the human mind. While all this was happening underground, something else was happening on the surface. People were decorating themselves. Long before the famous cave paintings of Europe, tens of thousands of years earlier, humans in Africa were grinding ochre, iron-rich minerals, into powder. They mixed it with fat or water. They rubbed it on their skin. They smeared it on tools. They used it to stain hides. At sites over 100,000 years old, archaeologists have found pieces of ochre deliberately shaped and engraved, shells pierced for threading, little beads worn smooth in places where they rubbed against skin or clothing, stained with pigment, necklaces, bracelets, maybe anklets that jingled when you walked or danced. Personal adornment might sound trivial compared to hunting mammoths, but it marks a profound shift. When you start decorating your body, you're sending messages without words. Color, pattern, jewelry, they tell people who you are, where you belong, married or single, healer or hunter, member of this group, not that one. Those beads and pendants may have carried stories too. A shell from the coast, worn by someone who lived far inland, means trade or travel, or a memory of a journey. A tooth from a dangerous animal might be a trophy, a reminder that you faced fear and survived. Red ochre in particular shows up over and over in burials, bodies dusted with red, graves lined with pigment. Maybe it symbolized blood, or life, or the setting sun. Maybe it was meant to protect the dead on a journey, or to make them visible to spirits. Whatever it meant something. By the time you get to about 35,000 years ago, this symbolic world becomes crowded. Now, it's not just beads and paint and animal images. People start carving the human form itself. The Venus figurines, small, often handheld sculptures carved from bone, ivory, or stone. They share a similar style across huge distances, from France to Siberia. Many have exaggerated breasts, hips, bellies. Faces are often minimal or absent. Arms and feet may be barely indicated. The focus is bodies that look pregnant, fertile, abundant. What were they? Some think they were fertility charms, held by women as a kind of hope for healthy children. Others suggest they were representations of a mother goddess, an early form of deity embodying birth, nourishment, and the cycles of life and death. There's even a theory that some were self-portraits, carved by pregnant women, looking down at their own bodies, seeing their belly, hips, and breasts, but not their face. We can't be sure, but whatever their purpose, these figures show something crucial. People were thinking about themselves as symbols, not just "that is a woman," but this small object stands for something bigger. Womanhood, motherhood, life. And that symbolic thinking didn't stop with bodies and animals. It extended to the sky. There are hints, just hints, that some early humans were paying careful attention to the stars. At a few sites, carved bones and stones show series of notches that may match the phases of the moon, or seasonal events like migrations and plant ripenings. Certain animal images in caves appear clustered in ways that some researchers argue line up with star patterns seen at particular times of year. These interpretations are controversial, but it wouldn't be surprising. If your survival depends on remembering when the herds move, when the salmon run, when certain plants are edible, you watch the sky. You notice patterns. Eventually, you might start to think the sky is a kind of giant story written just for you. And if the sky tells stories, then maybe the animals do too. For hunter-gatherer peoples around the world, animals are rarely just meat. They are persons of a different sort: teachers, tricksters, guardians, the bear that walks on two legs, the raven who steals the sun, the antelope that gave humans fire. These stories aren't just entertainment, they're moral lessons, ecological knowledge, maps of the landscape woven into memory. Your Paleolithic ancestors almost certainly saw the world this way. When they painted a running horse on a cave wall, they may not have been drawing a horse. They may have been invoking a spirit that moves like a horse, thinks like a horse, sees the world from a horse's height. To offend that spirit might mean bad hunting for years. To honor it might bring abundance. The result is a world where everything is alive with meaning. Rocks, rivers, trees, animals, clouds, stars, all beings, all with stories and intentions. And in that world, special people would emerge. The ones who dream vividly, who notice patterns no one else sees, who can calm a panicked child or soothe someone in pain with words and songs. These might become the shamans, or whatever your ancestors called them. Imagine a night near the fire. The day's work is done. People sit in a loose circle, some mending nets, others half asleep. The shaman, or the storyteller, the singer, the one who goes between, begins. A drum starts, maybe nothing more than stretched hide over a frame, or a hollow log struck with a stick. Listen to that sound in your mind, the deep, resonant thump, thump, thump. The beat begins slow, heart-like, then faster. Voices rise, feet start to tap. The group's breathing unconsciously synchronizes. After a while, you're not just listening to the rhythm, you're inside it. Music is one of the oldest human technologies we know. Bone flutes, made from the wing bones of birds, hollowed-out reindeer antlers that can be played like wind instruments, simple percussion instruments that would leave no trace in the archaeological record, but are almost certainly as old as language itself. In the flickering firelight, rhythm and melody do something extraordinary. They dissolve the boundaries between individuals. When everyone moves in time, sings the same phrase, claps on the same beat, the group becomes a single organism for a while. Fear contracts, time stretches. People enter shared trance states, mild or deep, without needing drugs. Just breath and sound and movement. In those moments, the stories about animal spirits and ancestors and journeys to other realms aren't just tales. They feel real. Because you are experiencing something that is, in fact, real. A different mode of consciousness. A different way of being a mind in a body, surrounded by other minds and bodies doing the same thing. That's the social function of early spirituality. It isn't only about explaining thunderstorms or what happens after you die. It's about welding small, fragile groups of humans into something strong enough to survive. Shared rituals, shared symbols, shared songs. They're the glue that holds the band together when food is scarce and danger is near. And when you put all of this together, the deep cave art, the beads and ochre, the carved figurines, the abstract marks, the music and trance, you get a picture of early humans that's very different from the caricature of brutish cavemen. By day, they tracked animals, napped stone, dug roots, watched the weather. By night, they stepped into a different world, a world where the dead might listen, where the sky might speak, where animals had secret names and mountains remembered. They carried heavy spears and sharp tools, but they also carried invisible things, myths, songs, rules, taboos, dreams. And when the fire finally burned low and the last stories ended, when the ochre-stained hands were wiped clean on hides, when the drums went silent and people stretched out on beds of grass and skins, they fell asleep in a universe they had helped to create. A universe of meaning layered over the raw facts of cold, hunger, and danger. While they slept, the painted herds waited in the dark tunnels underground. The beads rested against sleeping skin. The Venus figurine lay beside someone's head, or buried in a pouch with other small treasures. Above them, the stars turned slowly, whether anyone watched or not. By morning, the practical work of survival would begin again. But that inner life, the songs, the symbols, the sense of hidden forces moving through everything, that never really stopped. It's still with us. Only now, instead of torchlight on limestone, we use screens in the dark. Instead of ochre on skin, we use digital avatars and fashion brands. Instead of carved ivory figurines, we have icons and logos and characters that mean far more to us than their physical substance. The tools have changed. The wiring underneath has not. By late afternoon, the light is changing. Shadows begin to stretch. Colors drain slowly out of the landscape. The temperature drops faster than you'd expect. For Paleolithic people, this isn't just a pretty sunset. It's a signal, a quiet alarm clock telling everyone, whatever you still need to do, finish it now. The open landscape that felt manageable in daylight becomes something very different in the dark. Depth perception collapses. Predators that spent the day hiding in shade start to move. So your ancestors begin to contract their world, pulling it inward, drawing activity toward the same thing that has defined evening for humans for at least hundreds of thousands of years. Fire. Not everybody had it all the time. There were probably still groups that lost fire occasionally, or went without during travel. But for many late Paleolithic communities, fire was as central to the evening as gravity is to your body right now. It's not just a tool, it's a boundary line. Inside the circle of light and warmth, us. Outside it, everything else. As the sun sinks, people drift back toward camp, toward that flickering center. Gatherers return with armloads of wood, bundles of plants, maybe a few surprise finds, eggs, honey, shellfish. Hunters straggle in later, sometimes triumphant with meat, sometimes empty-handed and silent. Children who have spent the day in a swarm of games and experiments tighten their radius, pulled in by the same invisible gravity. The noise level shifts. Daytime work is all scraping, chopping, calling out across distances. Evening is more contained. You hear the crackle of wood, the soft thud of someone hammering a last flake off a stone tool, the muted murmur of voices as people settle into the glow. Before anyone truly rests, though, there's one more job that matters as much as food: building a place to sleep. Beds sound like a luxury, but they're really a survival technology. The ground is cold, damp, full of insects, parasites, heat-sucking stone. Lie straight on it night after night, and your body pays for it. So, your ancestors learned to build barriers between themselves and the earth. Archaeologists have found traces of ancient bedding, compressed layers of grasses, leaves, aromatic plants laid down in thick mats, sometimes renewed over and over in the same spot. Think of it as a low-tech mattress. First, someone clears the worst of the stones and debris. Then, they lay down a base of dry material. Grass, reeds, leaves, anything that traps air and sheds water. On top of that, maybe softer plants, maybe moss. Then, if they have them, animal skins, hides from deer, antelope, maybe even bigger game. Hair side up for insulation, flesh side in for durability. It's not individually owned furniture. Sleeping spots follow a social map. Parents near children. Elders placed where they're easiest to assist and protect. People with tense relationships, maybe not right next to each other. Over time, everyone knows where they belong when night comes. These arrangements reveal status, alliances, affections without anyone having to say a word. And while all this quiet bed building happens at the edge of camp, something more dramatic is happening at the center: the evening meal. If you imagine early humans constantly chewing all day like grazing animals, the evidence doesn't really support that. For many groups, the largest and most reliable meal seems to have clustered around nightfall. During the day, people might snack, a handful of berries here, a cracked bone for marrow there, a few nuts or roasted tubers on the go. but the full accounting of the day's success, especially when there was meat involved, tended to happen in the evening around the fire. Food isn't just eaten, it's transformed. Meat gets roasted or boiled in skin bags or bark containers, bones split for fat-rich marrow, organs cooked quickly before they spoil. Plant foods are pounded, peeled, ground, leached of toxins. Someone tosses roots into the ashes, someone else turns skewers of meat. Another person keeps the fire at the right intensity, adding logs at just the right time. This isn't random chaos. It's practiced choreography, and the distribution of that food is a social performance. Who gets the first piece? Who gets the best cuts? Does the successful hunter keep most of the meat, or does it get divided according to custom? Elders first, small children next, then everyone else. Different groups probably did this differently, but almost all of them would have understood one basic truth. You don't survive long in a foraging society if you're selfish at the big meal. So, the evening becomes a lesson in generosity and memory. People notice who shares and who hoards, who makes sure the child on the far side of the fire gets a piece of liver or fat, and who pretends not to see. These choices sink deep. In a world with no written laws, these are the behaviors that shape your reputation. Determine who will help you when it's your turn to be unlucky. While hands are busy, mouths are too. Fireside conversations are where human social life thickens. During the day, communication is often practical, shouted across distance, "Over here, watch out, try this way." At night, the volume drops, the content changes, people debrief the day. A hunter quietly explains how the antelope bolted faster than expected. A gatherer laughs about the time they tipped over a whole basket of berries. Someone brings up a minor conflict from earlier, a harsh word, a broken tool, and the group smooths it over while chewing. Because carrying that tension into tomorrow could be dangerous, there's planning too. When to move camp? Who will scout that distant ridge? Whether to follow the reindeer herds north or stay near the river a bit longer. These aren't formal counsels, but patterns emerge. Some people speak more, others listen and nod, influencing the flow with a single quiet remark. Children absorb all of this, learning not just facts about animals and plants, but how decisions are made, what counts as persuasive, when to speak and when to stay silent. And then there are the stories. Once stomachs are full and the sharp edge of hunger is gone, the tone changes again. Someone might start with a familiar tale about the time an ancestor killed a monstrous lion, or when the river rose so high it carried away half the camp. These stories aren't mere entertainment, they're memory storage. In a world without writing, stories carry maps. Which valley has the bitter-tasting roots that are safe to eat only if boiled twice? Which rocky outcrop hides flint suitable for blades? Where do the dangerous spirits, or in practical terms, sudden storms and flash floods, like to dwell? Wrapped around these facts are layers of myth, speculation, outright invention. Did people embellish? Absolutely. But the exaggerations helped make critical information unforgettable. Under that same firelight, another listener might add a different kind of story, one that reaches up instead of out. Because above them is the same sky you see now if you step away from city lights. A sky so full of stars that it looks almost crowded, streaked occasionally with the ghostly band of the Milky Way, pierced by the sudden scratch of a meteor. We can't know the first moment a human looked up and wondered, "What is that?" But it would be strange if no one ever did. Long before constellations had names we recognize, people were probably tracing shapes with their fingers, connecting stars into animals, ancestors, paths. Maybe they decided that a particular bright star was the eye of a giant creature watching over them, or that the Milky Way was the path taken by souls after death, or that the changing phases of the moon marked the moods of a powerful being whose favor you wanted to keep. None of this leaves fossils, but the human brain hasn't changed that much. Give people time, a dark sky, and the need to explain a dangerous world, and they will invent stories. Those stories would shape behavior, when to travel, when to plant in later eras, when to attempt risky hunts. Slowly, night after night, a cosmic calendar might have formed in their minds, stitched together from light points no one could touch, but everyone could see. But while eyes are turned upward and thoughts wander far, the body is still here, in a very real and risky place. Night in the Paleolithic world isn't safe. Beyond the ring of fire, predators move: hyenas, lions, leopards, wolves. In some regions, cave bears. They smell the meat, hear the voices, sense the heat. Most nights, the fire itself and the concentrated human presence are enough of a deterrent. But not always. There are fossil sites where human bones bear the unmistakable damage of carnivore teeth, caves that show layered occupancy, humans one season, big cats the next. So someone always stays half awake. Vigilance becomes a rotating duty. Some people may be natural light sleepers, others take turns, waking to toss on more wood, listening for the wrong kind of rustle in the grass. The camp is arranged to slow anything that approaches. The densest brush cleared away, thorny branches piled at key access points, sleeping spots clustered so that if one person startles awake, others can be roused in seconds. And in many late Paleolithic camps, there is another set of eyes and ears sharing this watch. Dogs, or at least the animals that would soon become dogs. By around 40,000 years ago, the process of domestication seems to be underway in some places. Wolves that were a little more tolerant of humans, a little less fearful, a little more willing to hang around the edges of camp, scavenging bones and scraps. Over generations, those slightly tamer wolves may have been tolerated in turn, even encouraged. They're noisy when strangers approach. They smell predators before you do. They follow tracks. They can help you hunt. At night, they earn their place again and again, curled at the edge of the firelight, or even pressed against human bodies on the bedding. They add warmth. Their thick fur is a living blanket, especially for children. Their ears twitch at faint sounds no human would notice. A growl, a raised head, a sudden bark. They're an early warning system wired directly into your nervous system. Once you begin to rely on that, life without them starts to feel more dangerous. So you have this layered watchfulness, the humans drifting toward sleep, the half-awake adult poking at the embers, the not yet fully domesticated dogs shifting and sniffing the wind. Together, they create a margin of safety in a world that never fully sleeps. Gradually, conversations thin out. The fire drops from bright flame to glowing coals. The harsh oranges softening into deep reds. Someone adds one last log, not for cooking now, but to keep the cold alive until morning. Sparks rise and vanish into the darkness, briefly imitating the stars above before going out. People find their places on the bedding. Children wedge themselves between adults, heads tucked against warm shoulders. An elder pulls a hide-up around their neck, hands folded under their cheek. A hunter, sore and satisfied, stretches out on his side facing the fire, one arm draped loosely over the dog that has decided to sleep there tonight. The sounds of night settle into layers. Nearby, the crack and sigh of the fire, the soft rhythm of breathing, the occasional murmur from someone caught in a dream. A little farther off, the rustle of small animals, the distant call of a night bird. Farther still, the long, eerie whoop of hyenas, the deep, chesty roar of a lion declaring territory. These distant threats are terrifying, but also familiar. Woven into the background of every childhood, people learn to distinguish danger by sound, the difference between a hunting roar and a frustrated one, between a curious rustle and an approaching charge. Under all that, the sky keeps turning. Stars wheel slowly toward the horizon. The moon climbs or sinks, depending on its phase. Clouds pass, sometimes covering the light, sometimes revealing more. Some members of your little band fall asleep quickly, exhaustion winning over anxiety. Others linger in that liminal space, neither fully awake nor fully gone. Thoughts wandering between the day's memories and whatever half-formed images drift in from the fire and the stars. Maybe they replay a close call from the hunt. Maybe they think of the child they lost last winter, imagining them among those distant lights. Maybe they just listen to the breathing of the people they love and feel, for a moment, something like gratitude. Eventually, even the last watchers drift inward. The fire slumps into a bed of shimmering coals. The dogs settle their heads on their paws. For a few hours, this tiny cluster of humans is as vulnerable as they will ever be. Eyes closed, weapons out of reach, minds in other worlds. And yet, in another sense, they have never been safer. They are wrapped in layers of protection they have built themselves, knowledge of where to camp and where not to. A carefully maintained fire, beds that keep the cold ground at bay. A circle of kin who will wake if one person cries out. The warning growl of an animal that chose, for reasons it doesn't fully understand, to live alongside them. This is what a day in the life ultimately leads to. Not just survival, not just constant struggle, but a nightly return to a shared center, to warmth, to story, to the faint but persistent feeling that for all the dangers, this small circle of light in the dark is enough, at least until morning comes again. So after all of this, what did early humans actually do all day? They worked. They walked miles to find roots and berries. They hauled meat back to camp. They shaped stone until their hands ached. They mended. They fed children. They watched the fire. They kept an eye out for teeth and claws glowing at the edge of the dark. But that wasn't all they did. They also sat. They stared into the flames and did nothing at all. They watched clouds drift over hills and lines of migrating animals pass along the horizon. They told stories so slowly that a single tale might last several evenings. They played, not just the children, but the adults too. Mock fights, little contests, teasing games with pebbles and sticks and bones. They sang. They traced patterns on cave walls and on their own skin. they rested. Their lives were hard, but not in the way we often imagine. Not a non-stop scramble from dawn to dusk, but pulses of effort and long stretches of low, quiet time. A few hours of intense work, then a lot of simply being together, moving with the seasons, moving with the light. That balance is the part we tend to forget. Because here we are, with machines that do our grinding and lifting, with lights that turn night into day, with more information in our pockets than any hunter-gatherer could have imagined. And yet somehow, many of us end up with less true leisure than they had, less unstructured time, fewer evenings where we simply sit and watch the world without checking a clock. The irony is deep. We've built tools to free our time, and then filled that time back up with noise. Your Paleolithic ancestors never scrolled. They never answered emails by firelight. When the sun went down, there were only a few options: talk, listen, make, dream, or sleep. Their attention belonged to the people around them, to the flames in front of them, to the stars overhead. But if you strip away the technology, the basic things that mattered then still matter now. Community, the circle of people who know your stories, who would share their last scrap of dried meat with you, who would stand beside you when the hyenas came too close. Today, that might be family, friends, an online community. The shape has changed, but the need hasn't. Our nervous systems are still calibrated for small groups around a shared task, a shared meal, a shared joke. Creativity, the first carved bone pendant, the first handprint on stone, the first rhythm tapped on a log. None of it helped catch more antelope, but it made life richer. It turned bare survival into a story worth telling. That impulse to make something unnecessary and beautiful is still one of the most human things we do. Nature. For almost all of our history, we woke and slept with the light. We learned the seasons by heart. We could read a landscape the way we now read text. Even if you live in a city, a part of your brain still quiets when you hear rain on a window, or wind in trees, or waves hitting shore. Those sounds are older than language, older than Homo sapiens. Purpose. Early humans didn't have 5-year plans, but they had reasons to get up, feed the children, help the group, keep the fire alive one more night. Meaning was woven into daily tasks. Our purposes may be more abstract now, but underneath, the same question is always there. Who am I doing this for? And why? When we look back at their days, at the walking, the watching, the talking, the work broken up by laughter and silence, what we see is not a lost world we can never touch again. We see a template, a reminder that a good human day has a certain rhythm, effort and ease, noise and quiet, togetherness and a little solitude. As you lie here listening, you're already doing something profoundly ancient. You're letting the day end. You're stepping away from the hunt of emails and notifications and back toward the fire. If you've enjoyed this slow journey into the past, you can gently tap like, so the algorithm spirits know to show you more. You can leave a comment if you'd like. Maybe tell us where in the world you're listening from. Which landscape is outside your own camp tonight? Desert, forest, city lights, mountain air. It all becomes part of this extended circle. If you want to walk with us regularly through these quiet corners of history, you can subscribe, so you don't miss the next story. And if you feel moved to support the channel in a deeper way, There's the option to join as a member here on YouTube. That helps us make more of these long, gentle explorations. It's completely optional. Watching, listening, and resting with us is already more than enough. For now, you don't need to do anything at all. Just imagine this. The fire in your ancestors' camp has burned down to deep, steady coals. Most of the group is already asleep, curled under furs, breath slow and even. Someone adds one last piece of wood, more out of habit than necessity. Above them, above you, the same moon drifts across the sky. The same constellations look down, slightly shifted by time, but still recognizably themselves. 40,000 years ago, a child blinked up at those stars, fighting sleep for one more story. Someone reached over, smoothed their hair, promised that the hunt could wait until morning. Tonight, you share that same human need. To stop, to be safe, to let the mind loosen its grip on the day. The hunt can wait until morning. The world can wait until morning. For now, you can rest under the same ancient sky. The fire crackles softly. The dog at your side shifts, lets out a long breath, settles deeper into sleep. Somewhere in the distance, an owl calls. Another answers. The stars turn. The earth breathes. And you, descendant of those first fire keepers, those first storytellers, those first stargazers, you drift. Your ancestors understood something we're only just remembering. That rest is not the absence of purpose. It's the completion of it. They walked all day so they could return to the fire at night. They hunted and gathered so they could share and celebrate. They endured the cold and the danger so they could find warmth and safety together. And when the work was done, they let it be done. You can do the same now. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw relax. Let your hands open, palms up, releasing whatever you've been gripping too tightly. The world will still be there tomorrow. The tasks will wait. The fire will burn low. But someone will tend it. Someone always does. For 40,000 years, humans have been doing this, lying down at the end of the day, closing their eyes, trusting the circle, trusting the dark, trusting that morning will come, and with it, another chance. You are part of that unbroken chain, the same blood, the same breath, the same need for rest and renewal. So sleep now, modern human, ancient human. Sleep with the knowledge that you are held by something larger than yourself, by the long, patient story of our species, by the quiet watchfulness of those who came before, by the stars that saw them and see you, and will see whoever comes after. The fire burns low, the night deepens, and you, safe in your circle of light, drift into the eternal sleep that renews us all. Rest well.